Welcome to Networks Professionals.
All right, welcome to this explainer. Today, we're diving headfirst into the high-stakes, incredibly fast-paced world of digital forensics. Every single day, major corporations, government databases, and massive cloud infrastructures are under siege. Data gets stolen, systems get locked down for ransom, and critical networks are completely compromised. But when the dust finally settles, who actually pieces together all those digital breadcrumbs? Well, that is exactly what we're going to explore today as we unlock the secrets of the CLFE certification. Here's our game plan for today. We're going to meet the digital detective, talk about exactly why the CLFE matters, crack open the exam domains, map out a beginner roadmap, and wrap up with the real-world payoff. Let's jump right into Section 1, Meet the Digital Detective. So picture this. A massive multinational bank just woke up to find gigabytes of customer data exfiltrated overnight. Alarms are literally blaring, execs are in full panic mode, and everyone's asking the exact same question. Who actually tracks down the hackers? How do we prove what happened, how they did it, and ultimately, who pulled the trigger? See, this isn't just about resetting a few passwords. It's a full-on quest to solve complex digital crimes, and you need a very specific kind of expert for that. Enter the CLFE, or the Certified Lead Forensics Examiner. Basically, this is a professional cybersecurity certification that completely validates your ability to investigate these incidents, recover digital evidence, and, this is huge, handle strict legal chain of custody procedures. It's offered by PEC BCB, and if you know them, you know they're a massive global authority on governance and compliance. They're accredited under ISO/ISOC 17024 standards, so yeah, this certification carries serious international weight. You're not just, poking around a computer. You're learning to perform actual forensic investigations across Windows, Linux, macOS, and mobile devices. Moving on to Section 2, Why the CLFE Matters. So why is there such a massive, urgent need for these skills right now? Well, organizations are facing an absolute tidal wave of cyber threats. We're talking crippling ransomware attacks, shutting down hospitals, insidious insider threats where employees walk out with data, massive breaches, financial fraud, and even digital espionage between rival corporations or nation-states. It's wild out there, and companies are desperate for solutions. Your standard, run-of-the-mill cybersecurity defenses just aren't cutting it anymore. They need forensic experts who can step right into the aftermath of an incident, reconstruct the attack, and figure out exactly what went down. And naturally, these rising threats translate directly into some serious career opportunities. The market demand here is just off the charts. Roles like incident response analysts and SOC analysts are seeing very high demand across the board. Meanwhile, digital forensics analysts, DFIR specialists, and malware analysts are sitting at a really solid high demand. The CLFE is essentially your key to unlocking these specific careers because it proves you've got that multi-platform expertise that hiring managers are actively hunting for. Which brings us to Section 3, Inside the Exam Domains. So what are you actually expected to know to pass this thing? First off, let's bust a really common myth right out of the gate. Is the CLFE a Microsoft certification? Nope, no way. It's completely independent and owned by PEC. But actually, let me add some context here. Microsoft technologies are highly relevant to the exam. Why? Because the vast majority of enterprise systems out there rely heavily on Windows servers, Active Directory, Azure, and Microsoft 365. In a real-world investigation, you're absolutely going to be knee-deep in Windows event logs, registry artifacts, and Microsoft file systems. So while it's an independent cert, knowing your way around a Microsoft environment is a massive piece of the puzzle. Okay, the exam itself is broken down into 7 core domains. You kick things off with computer and OS forensics, so understanding file systems and log analysis. Then there's evidence acquisition, which covers disk imaging and live memory forensics. You'll also need to master mobile, network, and cloud forensics, along with malware investigation. But I want you to look really closely at Domain 7, reporting and legal documentation. Unlike a lot of basic cybersecurity certs, the CLFE puts a really heavy, unique focus on court-admissible documentation and legal chain of custody procedures. Because, it's not enough to just find the hacker. You have to actually prove it in a way that holds up in a court of law. Now, to ground this in reality, let's talk numbers. What's this going to cost? Generally, getting certified involves either an online live instructor-led bootcamp or a self-paced training setup that includes virtual labs. You're looking at an approximate cost of anywhere from $2,000 to $4,000 for a bundle that includes both the training and the exam. Of course, that price can swing a bit depending on your specific training partner, your region, or if you're tacking on extended lab access and specialized instructor sessions. Once you've wrapped up the training, it's exam time. PECAB uses a percentage-based system, so you'll need a solid 70% to pass. And heads up, this isn't just basic memorization. You've really got to know your stuff. Expect a mix of multiple-choice questions, scenario-based analysis, and practical concepts that test exactly how you'd respond to real-world incidents.
All right, moving right along to Section 4, the beginner roadmap.
Now, if you're looking at those 7 domains and feeling a little overwhelmed, take a breath. First, we need to clarify the experience requirements. To get fully certified as a lead forensics examiner, PECB does require 5 years of professional experience, with at least 2 of those years specifically in computer forensics, plus some project experience. But, and this is a big but, if you're just starting out, you do not have to wait. Beginners can absolutely take the training, pass the exam, and get what's called a provisional certification status. This is brilliant because it proves your knowledge to employers right now, gets your foot in the door, and then you just upgrade to full status later as you rack up that experience.
So where exactly does the CLFE fit into your career journey? Well, you definitely shouldn't jump straight into forensics on day 1. You'll want to follow a chronological path. Start with your IT fundamentals, then build a really rock-solid foundation in networking and Linux basics. After that, pivot into cybersecurity basics. Stuff like CompTIA Security Plus or Cisco CCNA are perfect here. Only after you've got that foundational incident response exposure should you tackle digital forensics fundamentals, and then, boom, the CLFE certification itself. Once that's under your belt, you can scale up to even more advanced DFIR certifications. Let's break that path down into a few actionable steps. Step 1, learn your cyber and basic forensic methodologies, like registry analysis and disk imaging. Step 2, and I cannot stress this enough, practice with industry standard tools. The absolutely crucial point here is that you have to get comfortable with software like Autopsy, Wireshark, Volatility, and Encase. Step 3 is building out those hands-on skills through Capture the Flag labs and incident response simulations. And finally, Step 4, jump into official CLFE training and hit those mock exams hard, focusing really heavily on investigation procedures and scenario questions.
And finally, Section 5, the real-world payoff.
All right, you've put in the grind, you've mastered the tools, and you've aced the exam. Let's talk about the reward. A massive benefit of the CLFE is its international acceptance. Because it's backed by PECB, it's widely recognized across North America, Europe, the Middle East, and Asia. Plus, the types of industries looking for these experts are incredibly diverse. You could literally find yourself working for massive banks hunting down financial fraud, government and law enforcement agencies building criminal cases, telecom giants, cloud providers, or even managed security service providers. These are major, high-level organizations that desperately need exactly what you bring to the table.
And hey, that corporate desperation translates directly into financial rewards for you. As a beginner stepping into this field, global salary expectations usually float somewhere between $50,000 and $80,000. But check out the incredible leap as you gain practical experience. Mid-level professionals quickly jump between $80,000 and $120,000. And senior DFIR experts, they are easily commanding $120K and above. Keep in mind, these numbers can scale even higher depending on where you live, your specific tool expertise, or if you hold high-level security clearances.
As we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with a piece of advice pulled straight from the industry trenches. The certification alone helps, but practical skills are what employers value most in digital forensics. Look, to get the absolute maximum career value out of your CLFE, you've got to pair it with a well-documented GitHub portfolio. You need to show hiring managers that you've run the hands-on labs, you know your way around SIEM tools, and you have actual real-world incident response knowledge. Think of it like this. The CLFE opens the door, but your practical skills are what actually walk you through it.
Which brings us to our final thought for today. The threats are multiplying, the demand for talent is sky high, and as we've seen, the roadmap is clear. The digital world needs experts who can confidently step into the chaos, recover the evidence, and piece together the absolute truth. So, the only question left for you is, are you ready to become a digital detective?
Thanks for watching.